Coming up on WMBD News at noon, confusion surrounding COVID-19 testing in Peoria. The new guidelines from local health officials. Also, an eyesore of car seats in the Twin Cities. Why it's there and how city officials are responding to that mess. And it stays in Peoria. How you can support local businesses during this time of pandemic. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Shelby Roberts. To begin this afternoon, health officials are working to limit rising confusion surrounding who can get a COVID-19 test at the new drive-through sites in Peoria. The guidelines have now changed. Now, no one is given priority over others when it comes to getting a test. The prior criteria favored essential service workers, those with known exposures, those living in a shelter or places where social distancing is not an option, or being a part of the older population with chronic health conditions. Moving forward, though, now any person 18 or older with COVID-19 like illnesses or symptoms will be tested as long as tests are available. Health officials say that some people were confused on that matter. Patients thought that they could get tested at the East Bluff drive-through testing site even if they did not have symptoms. The Peoria County Health Department director addressed that issue yesterday.
The confusion laid on the fact that the groups that used to be prioritized are no longer being prioritized, but individuals still need to have COVID-like illness symptoms.
And although they're not turning people away who show up to get tested, they are looking for people with symptoms. That's the key. Those symptoms include, but are not limited to, fever, shortness of breath, headaches, and body aches. 5 Canton correctional officers will get tested for COVID-19 today. This comes after the Fulton County Board chairman accused the Illinois Department of Corrections of breaking a promise. Earlier this week, the chairman called out the DOC, saying it would not offer testing to the officers after they volunteered to help with the COVID-19 breakout at Stateville Prison. Now, Pekin Mayor Mark Luff says he's secured testing for the COs, saying that he could not wait for the state. The governor yesterday said that all frontline workers should be able to be tested and take appropriate action in order to keep their communities safe.
We absolutely want people to get tested, and if they have been exposed to people with COVID-19, they should self-isolate. So we want them to do that.
Governor Pritzker said part of the issue involved a labor dispute. Also, Mayor Luff says starting today, first responders in Pekin, East Peoria, and Canton will be able to get tested in Pekin. Assessing the stay-at-home order, the governor says his office is now looking at what the state has learned from this shutdown that could eventually help reopen the economy. But he says right now the state is still on the wrong side of the curve. He says there are consistently new patients coming to hospital ICUs. At last count, there are more than 2,000 new cases, bringing the state's total to 35,000. The virus has killed more than 1,500 people right here in Illinois. As the COVID-19 financial crisis hits keep on coming, businesses are starting to take advantage of some new programs designed to help them stay open. This comes as Illinoisans stay home. One Peoria restaurant owner says that dine-in service at Blue Duck Barbecue usually makes up about 80% of his revenue. So he's had to lay off staff during this shutdown. But because of the Paycheck Protection Program, he can now hire them back.
Through getting taking advantage and getting the approval for the PPP loan, that has really been tremendous. We actually just got that today. So we're thrilled about that, and we're going to be able to hire the entire staff back and get them back on the payroll.
And if you'd like to find out how to access loan assistance for businesses, you can head on over to our website, ciproud.com. In other news, the Goodfield Boyd, accused of starting a fire that killed his family 1 year ago, will stay with his grandparents for now. He'll also be under the watch of the Department of Children and Family Services. A judge says Kyle Allwood's father will now be allowed to have unsupervised visits with his son. The 9-year-old was living with his mother last April when investigators say he burned down their mobile home, killing 5 of his family members that were inside. Allwood faces 5 counts of first-degree murder. The state's attorney says that since the fire, Allwood has been living with his grandparents, getting counseling, and they say he has been getting above-average grades in school. Giant mounds of children's car seats are creating an eyesore on one Bloomington property. The property owner was hoping to have that site cleared by the end of March, but WMBD's Nick Molinari shows us why that has not happened.
This lot behind me was supposed to be clear by now, but the landowner says because of the COVID-19 pandemic, there isn't anyone to recycle the mountain of car seats. Late last year, Walmart ran a promotion asking people in the community to donate their used children's car seats. Those car seats ended up here in this lot, where a company called Axar Plastic was getting ready to recycle them. But that work was put on hold because of COVID-19. Now, the company that owns the lot, Bell International, is on the hook for code violations. The plot runs along Constitution Trail, and many community members who use the trail have been sending complaints to the city.
I know that the community is concerned that it's an eyesore and that there are some code violations that exist there, and so we certainly want to work with the property owners to obtain compliance in this matter.
The property owner's attorney, Joe Dane, says they want the lot cleared as much as everybody else, but with this pandemic, they've asked for more time. The city is taking legal action on the ordinance violations, meeting with the property owner in court on May 27th. In Bloomington, I'm Nick Molinari.
Thank you, Nick. McLean County residents now have some more time to pay their property taxes. Tuesday night, the county board voted to extend due dates by 2 weeks. The first installment is now expected by June 17th, the second on September 17th. They're also now delaying interest penalties by granting a 30-day grace period for property owners who are late on their payments.
The hope was that, people would get back to work here shortly. It gives them an opportunity to come up with some revenue to pay those bills. In essence, it gives you about 45 to 60 days to get your real estate tax bill paid without interest or penalty.
And they also approved a $600,000 program that would offer loans of up to $5,000 for businesses with 10 or fewer employees. Businesses with 50 or fewer employees could get as many as $20,000. After a unanimous vote, the city of Bloomington now has a 2021 budget in place. Our news partner WGLT reports the $230 million budget includes $110 million in general fund expenditures, $41 million for capital projects, and $5 million set aside to address potential COVID-19 related impacts. According to city leaders, the budget remains flexible and able to respond to future financial impacts, whether through the new COVID-19 fund or roughly $22 million in unobligated cash reserves. Well, people are stuck indoors and not spending money like they usually would. East Peoria city leaders say that's expected to put the city in $5.4 million in the red. A city commissioner says the board now has to look at the approved budget to make some hard choices and some cuts. Some of those cuts could be overtime, open police positions, laying off deputy fire positions, and stopping capital improvement projects.
These are uncharted waters, quite honestly, for all of us. So what we did is we backed out all the capital for the fiscal year 2021. We backed the debt out, and then we took the budgets back to each individual department and asked for a 15% reduction on the operating expenses to cover the revenue shortfall.
And budget talks are expected to continue at the commission's next meeting. East Peoria's curbside recycling program is now being suspended. The suspension will be in effect from May 1st until April 30th of next year. The announcement came during Tuesday's city council meeting, with officials citing the significant financial impact of COVID-19. Recycling toters can still be used as garbage toters, and the city will explore some alternatives for those who continue to want to recycle.